A very good morning to all our Sports Today family members, and it's been a very action-packed Ashes so far. So far, who seems to be winning? Basball, Ozball, Uzball? Well, you pick your guess on it because heading into day 3 of the Ashes, 82 runs behind, with 5 wickets remaining. If Australia can get a big lead, nothing like it. Usman Khwaja stole the show yesterday. But England also had some moments which they will regret. A no ball, then a catch dropped, a stumping missed. It was all happening for Ben Stokes' team. And it was on Ben Stokes that one major comment was made. And it was on the dominance that Stuart Broad had over David Warner. Now remember, Stuart Broad has dismissed David Warner 15 times. Now, this kind of domination is unprecedented in the modern era. But Stokes had a different take on it. He cited the example of how R. Ashwin dominated him. Remember, when you talk about Ravichandran Ashwin, his dominance against left-handers is simply unprecedented. Sure, Broad might have gotten rid of Warner 15 times, but the dominance that Ashwin has had on Ben Stokes is also phenomenal. 12 times he's dismissed England's best match winner. And this was the thing that Ben Stokes spoke about Stuart Broad's achievement. He said, yeah, just like how Stuart Broad has dominated David Warner, it is like Ashwin's domination over me. He was very, very clear about that Ashwin was indeed head and shoulders above him when it came to domination. Yes, Stokes might have gotten his way in 1 or 2 games, but no one like Ravichandran Ashwin to dominate him. And remember, when these two teams collide for a 5-test series in 2024, oh boy, then you are going to see sparks fly. Ben Stokes versus Ravichandran Ashwin here, the ultimate test for baseball. And remember one more thing, the way Moeen Ali was bowling yesterday, it was yet again a biggest what if when you look at Indian cricket. What if Ravichandran Ashwin had played at the Oval? Because remember, Ashwin does not rely on spin alone nowadays. He relies on length, he relies on drift, he relies on the skid. And England gave him all that opportunities in 2018 as well. Now, 5 left-handers. Who did Moeen Ali trouble the most? Travis Head. Ashwin, well, he could have troubled him also. And he also troubled Steve Smith. Ashwin in the past has had the mojo over all of the top players in the world. Ben Stokes' admission itself is an eye-opener that yes, big match, you play your big game player. India, unfortunately, did not do that. And that is the reason why more of these comments is like a stab in the chest for Indian cricket. Why couldn't they play their best player in major situations? We finally have some clarity on Ishan Kishan. We all were surprised as to why he was not picked in the Duleep Trophy for East Zone. Now we finally know the actual situation. Ishan Kishan is going to head into the strength and conditioning camp that will be held at the NCA. And this is in preparation for the West Indies tour. So there are 2 clear indications. India are probably looking beyond KS Bharat. Number 1. Number 2, in this new cycle, Ishan Kishan is going to be your designated keeper, at least for the West Indies tour. Maybe when the South Africa tour comes, if Rishabh Pant is fit, if he is fit, then and only then he will come back. But remember, Pant may not play the World Cup, so where does he get the time? And this is where the domestic structure comes into play. Remember, now it is the Duleep Trophy, then you have the KB Devdar Trophy, after that you have the Irani Trophy in October. These 3 red ball tournaments will be held. Then after that you have the Syed Mushtaq Ali, you have the Vijay Hazare, your Ranji Trophy begins from January 2024 till March 14th. 2 months in January, February, March, you are going to see the Ranji Trophy being played. And it is in that period where Rishabh Pant can potentially think about a comeback. But now the signs are that India have looked beyond KS Bharat. It is now Ishan Kishan's turn to don the gloves for the West Indies tour, which will begin from July 12th onwards. KS Bharat has been included in the South Zone team for the Dulip Trophy, and that's a clear indication that he's not going to the West Indies, because KS Bharat and South Zone are already in the semi-final. So that is why it's all but over for KS Bharat. Ishan Kishan might be your designated keeper. We'll come to know about the team selection. Maybe in this coming week, we will come to know the team for the West Indies tour. But let us sit back, enjoy the emotional roller coaster that Usman Khwaja has had. For 10 years, he's been coming to England. He never has scored a test century here. It was the similar situation in India. He had come to India in the past, but he never scored a test century. Now in 2 tours, Ahmedabad and now Edgbaston, Usman Khwaja has silenced the critics and scored a brilliant century on day 2 of the Ashes against England. His 126 unbeaten, combined with a superb partnership that he's got with Alex Carey, has ensured the damage that was suffered on day 1 is kind of minimized. England, though, still hold the edge with an 82-run advantage. And day 3 today might have a bit of rain. So Australia and England still 50-50 at this point in time. Usman Khwaja, you realize he did the dab step. He also flung the bat. He just dropped the bat and all that thing. Why was this emotion? Because the baggage of 10 years in the Ashes, plus the way how the crowd was giving Australia a very hard time, that made the century even more emotional. And with his daughter Aisha, on the occasion of Happy Father's Day, it was a great sight to see Usman Khwaja with his daughter in the press conference. And there was a very cute moment where his daughter was swiping the phone camera and one of the journalists actually lost the recording. So Usman cautioned his daughter, why are you swapping the camera? It was a brilliant sight to see. And tribute to Usman Khwaja cannot be any less. 15 centuries. 10 years, he's now enjoying the best phase of his career. When asked whether this is his last tour of England, he said, if only I can do a James Anderson. Remember, in 2027, if he's back in England for England, he's going to be 40 years of age. Can he bat that long? Can he really be in that? In the Australian culture, it's not like that. But now Usman Khwaja is in the best phase of his life, and one hopes that his batting continues to scale the heights. He's been better than Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne. He saw both of them fall at crucial times, but he held firm like a rock. So Usman Khwaja, the way how he dominated in Edgbaston yesterday was a treat. World Cup preparations are underway. No, we are not talking about the ODI World Cup. We are talking about the World Cup qualifiers that are going to be played in Zimbabwe starting from today, July 10th. Zimbabwe will take on Nepal. There's also West Indies and Sri Lanka in that. Remember, the format of the World Cup qualifiers is every team tries to make it to the final. The top 2 teams, the teams that make it to the final, they will be the 9th and the 10th team in the World Cup. And remember, West Indies, Sri Lanka are the favourites. But if Ireland or Netherlands have their way, they could dump any of them out. Then one of those teams will not make it to the World Cup. And remember, if West Indies don't make it, 2-time world champions, it's a big blow. If Sri Lanka don't make it, 1996 World Cup winners, they will not be playing in India. It will be a body blow for both these nations when it comes to cricket. So the World Cup qualifiers are starting today. Let us see which of the 2 teams make it to the final. From cricket, let us shift to F1, and what a brilliant session we had in the Gilles Villeneuve circuit in Montreal, because the Canadian Grand Prix saw Max Verstappen, Super Max, dominate yet again. 25th pole position, but remember, the likes of Hamilton, Russell and Alonso are snapping at his heels, and it was a very wet Gilles Villeneuve circuit, and somehow braving the conditions, Max Verstappen secured his 25th pole, and he is favourite to continue his winning ways, because now the 2023 season seems to be heading only one way, and that is towards Red Bull. Can Lewis Hamilton break this jinx? Can Fernando Alonso get back to winning ways and be on the top step of the podium after a very long time? Today is the race, 11 p.m. IST. Let's see how that shapes up to be. Now, the wrestlers' protest has taken a very odd twist, because Sakshi Malik and her husband have put out a video on Twitter titled "The Truth." In that, they have dispelled some notions, they have talked about their mental state as to what is it currently at this point in time. Because remember, July 4th is the next major date. And when there was a question about the POXO withdrawal against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, they said none of the wrestlers, the minor wrestlers, could speak up about this issue for a very long time because there was no unity in the WFI. That was the one major block that Sakshi Malik had said. There was no unity in the WFI. And this protest has been given wrestlers versus the government. Sakshi Malik has clearly refuted that by saying it is not against the government, it is only against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. That is the thing that Sakshi Malik has put out on that Twitter video. But they said that the incidents of May 28th, when they were going to the parliament to protest, and the way how they were dragged, manhandled by the Delhi police, they were mentally shattered. And there was an incident that happened when they had gone to Hardwar to immerse the medals. There was a threat of violence at that spot. So that is why they had to abort the plan. Looking at the mental state of mind, they were thoroughly shattered after the incidents of May 28th. And that's why they could not do what they wanted to do. Now they have to wait until July 4th, because now in July 4th, the Delhi court might pronounce their verdict. And remember, Delhi police has sought a cancellation of POXO on Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, but that does not mean POXO is cancelled. The court will now decide whether to level POXO charges, whether the POXO charges should remain or they can be withdrawn, because the Delhi police have claimed that there is no corroborative evidence. Decathlon. You have to understand, decathlon is one of the most difficult disciplines when it comes to athletics. And Tejaswin Shankar, if you look at it, he has qualified for the Asian Games, and with a brilliant display during the inter-athletics meet in Bhubaneswar. 7,500 points was the qualifying mark in decathlon for the Asian Games. He did 7,576. And Tejaswin Shankar has shown that he is one of the best in the business when it comes to athletics at this point in time. Remember, high jump, triple jump, all those disciplines have given him glory in the past. But now, when it comes to decathlon, the most difficult discipline in athletics, Tejaswin Shankar has cracked that also. In absolutely grueling and inhumane situations in Bhubaneswar, the humidity was high, the heat was excessive, he still managed to crack it. So kudos to Tejaswin Shankar for putting on such a magnificent performance. Murli Shankar, on the other hand, even he impressed in the athletics meet as well. His qualifying mark of 8.41 was just 1 centimeter short of the national record. And even he is also making great progress when it comes to qualifying for the Asian Games. So, Tejaswin Shankar and Murli Shankar are showing the world that Indian athletics is on an upward curve. The recent interstate meet that happened in Bhubaneswar is proof of that. But now, tougher tasks wait for them. Can they repeat the same thing in the Diamond League fixtures? That remains to be seen. Jyoti Aruni, another young athlete who is making big strides in the world of Indian athletics. And remember, in the 110-meter hurdle, she was the only individual to not just win gold, but also clock a time under 13 seconds. Kudos to Jyoti Aruni for putting in such a magnificent performance. And this is why the likes of Tejaswin Shankar, Murli Shankar and Jyoti Aruni, all these individuals will be very important for India's athletics upswing. Because remember, after Neeraj Chopra's gold medal in Tokyo and his subsequent success in the Diamond League, athletics has gotten a new lease of life. And it is up to all these three individuals to ensure that they can put on a great show indeed. But unfortunately, the interstate meet, even in Bhubaneswar, saw a very tragic incident. One of the athletes, Akhilesh, a 20-year-old, when he tried to attempt the long jump, unfortunately, he broke his shin because the landing board was not proper. And because of that, play was suspended. He was taken to hospital where he would be operated. The government, the Athletics Federation are going to sponsor his entire treatment. But the shoddy facility that was there ensured that one person's career was at stake, because the board, the landing board was kept in such a position where injuries were about to happen. So that is why it was a tragic, tragic incident, and play was held up. And unfortunately, because of that, this young athlete, Akhilesh, a 20-year-old, he has to now ensure surgery because his shin bone is broken in half. Very painful event indeed. So, lots to look forward to today when you look at other sports. Today, you're going to see Satvik Sairaj, Janki Reddy and Chirag Shetty. Can they win the Indonesia Super 1000 event? That will be a major, major talking point. And after that, you're going to see the Canadian Grand Prix, you'll see the Ashes as well. You'll see a lot more stuff coming from the athletics, from Sakshi Malik. What was the detailed interview that she had done? We will be giving you all the latest updates on that. From me, Siddharth Vishwanathan here, it's bye-bye. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live, and we are also there on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram also.